All right, welcome back. Cosmos, you had some of the things, before we go back to Austin,
Yep.
You had some of the things that he has said. Let's not dwell on conspiracy theories.
Okay.
We'll leave that for the main actors.
Okay.
But your reaction quickly.
Yeah, basically.
Some of the winners and, some of the surprising results.
Yeah, surprising results for me has to be probably in athletics. Yeah, of course, the fact that there's so much stories surrounding athletics. How about 2-3 contestants were disqualified at the last minute, and of course the winner winning with 43-2 votes. So it's the controversy there. I was actually following the taekwondo story as well, following the taekwondo issue as well as it was going, called some bits of people daring as well, and of course the news there was so not palatable to hear.
All right.
So pretty much Austin has pretty much said it. I mean, George Ashiru, the outgoing president of the Nigeria Taekwondo Federation, at some point his name wasn't even on the list. He had to go get the master's list from the Ministry of Sport, came back, and then the election couldn't hold, and before you know it, they said somebody won it, and of course chaos, all hell was let loose. So that is a very, very big issue on its own. Some other talks as well. Of course, the basketball aspect as well. Two parallel body. One had a Kanu election, another had today. In fact, it was empty there. Then they had to go to an hotel to hold their election because they said they want to be autonomous and all that. So, two parallel body. Let's wait for what FIBA will say on that one.
All
so,
right.
pretty much, it's so disheartening that some of these things are happening. But then you have to talk about the good part. Wrestling. You talk about Daniel Igali. Olympic champion, although that's for Canada, but then it's been massive in the last 4 years for wrestling. So that is a good news for me.
Let me just allow you hold it in for a while. Let's listen to some of the key actors. A lot of interesting things they had to say. Some rejoicing, some not happy with how all of this is played out. We'll take that reaction and we'll go to Abuja after that. John Escape.
I represented women in sports during the last election, held last month on the 3rd, and I won athletics. Only for me to get here this morning, I'm bidding for Athletics Federation of Nigeria, the president. My name was removed. So the evidence is there on the board. And I was asking why. Look at my neck, I don't even have an accreditation card. What is going on? Nobody wants to speak to me. So I have to create a chaos for people to come. So this is the issue.
So, but what explanation did they give to you?
Nothing, nobody to talk to. Nothing. That is why we are inviting the minister into this. They want to transparent election. We are having one here. We are having one. How transparent is this one? How transparent is this election? I don't even have a card. I want a whiz.
Did you meet all the requirements?
Yeah, of course, yes.
You have no explanation. Even Brown Ebewele is the technical director, disqualified for no reason. And he's been replaced by people that never represented this country, and he won in the election with a landslide. That 1 vote over 19. And he came here this morning and his name has been deleted. And we are protesting and people are looking at us as we are all ex-international that have represented this country for years. I'm 6-time Nigerian champion. She's an African record holder in triple jump. Brown Ebewele is the decathlon African record holder. And they are trying to replace us with people that never won Nigerian uniform. So we are protesting that we are living a democratic dispensation. This is not a dictatorship. Due process has to be followed if you have any grievances against us.
We had elections, taekwondo elections. They appear to have been going peacefully. And then there were a couple of unusual circumstances that we have not experienced before in previous elections. Candidates were being disqualified. Candidate from Southeast, candidate from Southwest. And we asked why were they being disqualified. They said there were petitions written against them. And my query is, how can you disqualify somebody ahead of an election? The person has not even, how do you even know they are contesting? Because it's only when they are nominated that they are contesting. So clearly, somebody is leaking information on all the people who submitted forms to their opponents. So that already indicates that there's a problem within the federation itself. Someone is leaking information on candidates. Because you can't be petitioning somebody you do not know is contesting. And the only way you can know they are contesting is when they are physically nominated for that particular event. That's part one. Another person was being disqualified that they said is incomplete documentation. What was the incomplete documentation? They said he didn't submit a particular form. He contacted the Secretary General of the Federation, who confirmed that those forms were submitted. Yet the Electoral Committee refused to listen and just said, as far as we are concerned, he says you are not. And so that was the second one, and we all felt jittery that what's going on here. We want free and fair elections. We want our family in Taekwondo to be one. And so when people are being disqualified from the various zones, especially the popular candidates, it creates a ruckus. We got to the vice presidency, there was no problem. We got to the presidency. 2 candidates were nominated. I was one of them. And then the Electoral Committee chairman called me and said my name is not on the list as a member of the board. So there were 2 interpretations. Someone said even if he's not on the board, it has already been popularly assumed that anybody can be nominated to contest. So let him contest. Then he came up and said, no, well, there's a petition against him. He said, oh, you just received a petition this morning against him. When did you treat it? How did you suddenly use the petition to come to a conclusion that the man is not qualified? Has he been given an opportunity to defend himself? And so I raised points of objection. Number 1, on the 12th of May, in this Abuja, the Secretary General of the Federation called for elections to 3 positions: Athlete, Rep, Technical, and Sponsorship / Ex Officio. He announced it to the media. He wrote to all the state associations. Because of that, we all came here. We submitted our forms before the deadline that he imposed, which was the 9th. And as at the 12th that I got here, I was the only person who has submitted form to contest as Sponsorship / Ex Officio before the deadline that was imposed by the Federation. And he announced it and said the only candidate we have is so and so. And we left believing that that was done. And on the 31st of May, he sent me a message that I have concluded your nomination as ex officio, and I forwarded your name to the ministry as at 31st, as at the next day. Your name will be at the ministry. With those 2 conclusions, I'm here to contest, only to be told that my name is not on the list. And then, of course, I made an immediate vocal protest and said that's not possible. I already raised an observation about this to the Olympic Committee and to the Ministry of Sports, and I got an acknowledgement that the issue will be looked at even before, because I thought it was a bit unusual, the process that we were going through. But the funny part of it was that when we now got to the election, they said my name was not there. I said, go and check properly. He said he looked at the list, but there was another gentleman sitting there and said, but his form is here as ex officio. So how come his form is here as ex officio and his name? That let's go and check the master list. Maybe there was an omission. Because number 1, you can't disqualify a person and then his form is here. If they had been disqualified, his name will be there. They will state the reason for disqualification. So he said, okay, they started making consultation. Then all of a sudden, the next thing we heard was that he can't wait anymore. He's going to make a declaration. Within 2-3 minutes of his declaration, somebody came from minister and said, no, this is the master list. George Asheru is there as the ex-official and sponsor. What I would have expected at that point in time is that, excuse me, please. What I would have expected at that time would have been to say, okay, let me cross-check and then confirm why there is a discrepancy and come to a conclusion. Then we can decide whether to let this election go. And then subsequently, if there's a problem, He just said, I declare this person winner without an election and without the confirmation. And even though 2 of the members of that committee that sat with him told him he is wrong, that he shouldn't do it, he should wait for the confirmation. He said, no, I'm going to make a declaration.
So what do you intend to do going forward?
Naturally, I am here to tell you, right in front of you here, these are joint petitions by 27 states. Those are my delegates. And I believe this is what my opponents were afraid of. This is 27 states. I'm not even talking about board members. That already has won the election. That tells you that this is a president that is popular in this country. People want him back. They are all still here because they believe in justice. And so I believe that my petition will go, it will sail, it will fly, because this is injustice. It's not good for Nigerian sports. It's an election. Let people be allowed to vote and